7 o'clock, we don't have a quorum, I think we should.
Let's go home.
Yeah.
Tyler, you want to be a council person? Nope. Nope? That was a fast answer.
I didn't know what's happening, but I have more to add to that conversation.
Oh, okay, well then,
And I'll actually give you a good code.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to call to order the Whatcom County Council meeting for February 7th, 2017. Please call the roll.
Red Brown,
here,
Barry Buchanan,
Here.
Todd Donovan,
Here.
Ken Mann,
here,
Satpal Sidhu,
Here.
Carl Weimer,
Here.
Barbara Brenner.
Here.
Okay, everyone please rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get started, a couple announcements, please. If you have your cell phone with you, turn it off or on to vibrate so we don't interrupt the meeting. If you're handing out any paperwork tonight during open session, please make sure a copy goes to our staff, right here in the little staff booth. And we had one item today from the Committee of the Whole, an executive session. It was discussion with Senior Deputy Prosecutor Karen Frakes regarding pending and potential litigation. Hurst et al. Versus Whatcom County Growth Management Hearing Board case number 12-2-0013. No action was taken. We have 17 sets of meetings, minutes, and I'm not going to read all this. You can see which meetings they were. And I
I'll
would,
move approval.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, or discussion, any changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now it's time for the open session. During open session, audience members will have up to 3 minutes to address the council on any issue relevant to council business. Before beginning to comment, please state your name and topic of interest. And if your last name is complicated, please spell it for us. And stand behind the signs. We will go ahead and open the open session.
Thanks for braving the snow to get here.
Good evening. In order to set the record, Amy Glasser is
There you go.
Amy Glasser is my name. Oh, yeah, right. Glasser. In order to set the record straight regarding the council's ill-informed January 24th, 2017 discussion regarding my Disabilities Board candidacy, it's necessary to bring to light the following because it was discussed in open session. My candidacy for county council was neither decided nor declared until till December 6, 2016, when, per regulation, I appropriately reported such to the Public Disclosure Commission. Anyone who might take the time to look at last year's media records could clearly recognize that at all times before December 6, I consciously made certain to state that I was only considering a run for council. Prior to the 6th of December, I had no time declared that I was in fact campaigning for a seat on the county council. In early summer 2016, I reduced my caseload as a private therapist to devote more time to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Taking Mr. Sanders' call for local action to heart, in August of 2016, I began considering participation in a number of Whatcom County and Bellingham commissions. The first and most skilled applicable commission I came across was the Domestic Violence Board. Unfortunately, after speaking with the commissioner chair in September, I learned that the focus was upon naming an agency representative as opposed to a private therapist such as myself. Continuing my search, I unfortunately realized that due to current contracts I have with the county, I had to look very clearly to make sure there wasn't a conflict of interest in any kind of board that I wanted to join. It was then I discovered the Developmental Disabilities Board had an opening, and I saw no conflict of interest since my current contracts don't specially work with the developmentally disabled population. I initially met Ms. Lee, chairman of the board, October 2016. Then I met with the Disabilities Board as a group in mid-November of 2016. At that time, the board believed there was no obstacle, the county council or the county executive, because it's an executive appointment, owing owing my 38 years of professional experience working with children and families as a licensed social worker and mental health therapist would certainly have me qualified. I sincerely hope that the record will be corrected to reflect these facts that were not made clear nor sought during the Council's 24th January discussion of my Developmental Disabilities Board candidacy.
30 seconds, please.
I also take umbrage to the implications that my candidacy for appointment to the DD Board was in any way disingenuous. As a social worker, I have been in the trenches to ensure the rights and proper care for individuals and families my entire professional career, which is one and the same as my entire adult life. I am abundantly qualified to sit as a board member of the DD Board, and when approved would serve with the same diligence and integrity that I've brought to all of my individual and
Time.
social healing endeavors. It's my perspective that tabling my appointment was wrong, it was impartial, it was retaliatory, and it was not a leg up to get on the council. Thank you very much.
Ms. Brenner?
Just to clarify, since I'm the one, no, you're done. Okay. Since I'm the one who brought this up, it had absolutely nothing to do with you, who you are. I'm glad you got to tell people all about yourself, but it had absolutely nothing to do with that. It had to do with, I personally believe that anytime someone is already campaigning for elected office, they have I would think, an obligation. Of course, it's not required yet, but they have all the time in the world to go talk to the exec and say, I'm withdrawing my name because it may not look good to be doing both. I don't think it's proper. I never mentioned anybody's name, and I'm really disturbed that this was a format for somebody to get up and, say all that stuff instead of, I'm the one who brought it up, period. It wasn't anybody else, it was me.
Mr. Donovan?
I will just repeat something I said in the meeting you're speaking about, and let the record state that Ms. Glaser is qualified for that position. Glasser, I'm sorry, Amy. I just say Amy. That I believe, and I expect, I anticipate most of the people on this council believe that she is in fact qualified for that board, and that there was some discomfort of appointing somebody who was running for the council, but it was no statement about your qualifications. And it's unusual for us to actually respond to comment this way. So, but I was just...
Okay, let's move on.
My name is Dan Thomas. I'm a resident at Melbaker District. I have reached out to our community, Washington State Superintendent Board of Instruction, Washington State Superintendent Board of Education. I am letting the city council or county council members know that our Kendall Elementary School is full of condoms, and there is nothing going on other than the Washington State Superintendent Board of Education says it's out of his authority. I had a meeting with him, and then I took my paperwork to the Whatcom County Sheriff's Department, and they're doing the investigation. But as county members, I feel like you all need to know. It's scary. There's a lot of turmoil up there between employees and staffs, and that's it.
Yes.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but the school districts are all their own separate jurisdictions,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we don't have any authority over them.
I know.
But that's very interesting, and so the sheriff has,
I got a no trespass order from the superintendent. I went to court, saw a commissioner. The commissioner said, "Sir, you should have had an attorney." I'm no longer able to participate in the board meetings. I'm no longer able to go to any of the elementary schools. I was at a Larry Friend's, the Washington State Superintendent Board of Education did the investigation, and it's out of his hands. Washington State Patrol can't do any, there's no victims here. Now it goes back as far as who used our school. There was an organization that used that school on Sundays for 5 years until they built their own. Am I saying anything? I don't know, but I would like answers. I have I have 2 police reports stating from our superintendent that Mr. Thomas has been coming to board members, blah, 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 excuse me, and I'm making it all up. Well, our superintendent didn't realize that the sheriff's department was gonna come back again, and then his story completely changed. Mr. Thomas has been talking to staff members at Mount Baker High School regarding,
I'm getting more. Could you leave your phone number?
yes, ma'am,
I would definitely like to find out more about this.
and I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Tell somebody they can come and do so.
Good evening, council. My name is Warren Shea. I live at 1453 Humboldt in Bellingham. My topic tonight is climate change. It certainly is here. It's well underway. It's really amazing to me that virtually the entire global scientific community agrees that climate change is real and it's man-made and it's well underway, yet we still have many, many people who deny its reality, who want to sweep it under the rug, who dismiss it as a Chinese hoax, whatever. Locally, we stand, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, we stand to lose 2,900 Whatcom County homes, which will be underwater by the end of the century. The news gets worse. A recent UN report says that climate change is occurring at a much faster rate than we thought. So we were talking about year 2100, now we're talking about 2060 for a lot of this stuff. And of course, we can't count on Washington, D.C. to lead the battle against climate change. There is some good news. In the September issue of the New Republic, Bill McKibben talks about the work at Stanford University. They have figured out, remarkably, exactly what is needed in terms of especially solar and wind turbine power for our country and 137 other countries. They have the whole blueprint. This can be done. This can be done. We just need the political will and the collective consciousness to do it. And that's where sort of activities locally have come into play. We need a grassroots effort. We need citizens, and more than ever, you folks, local municipalities, cities, state governments, county governments, to get on board and fight the battle against climate change. To develop public awareness, I work at the Mineport Museum, and we have put together a very modest little photography exhibit showing local landmarks now and as they will look 50 years from now if we fail to take appropriate action. I invite you to come by and see it. It only costs $2 to get in. We're a cheap date. But it really, there's something about photography that brings a reality to this. And you need to see these photographs. You really do. I have all our info, address, and time, and when we're open, I'll just leave that with the clerk. And thank you for your time, and look forward to your support in our ongoing battle. Thank you.
You've had a long week and it's only Tuesday.
About what's been going on, huh?
Good evening, Council. Lynn Murphy with Puget Sound Energy. I came tonight to give you a bit of an update on our storm. You have some pictures in front of you. Couldn't do a PowerPoint tonight, so I just wanted to provide you a little bit of a visual of what our crews have been dealing with. Obviously, there's only 5 pictures in your packet there. And I'll tell you that the majority of that is up off of Mount Baker Highway, Glacier. So our storm started after our ice storm Friday night. We started noticing significant outages Saturday morning. Saturday morning, our base opened, our what we call our local storm base opened here in Bellingham to manage these outages. At the peak of that storm, we saw 11,000 customers without power. Part of the reason that I'm here tonight is to let you know that this was a very unique storm. This was extremely damaging to our infrastructure. So the ice that fell Friday night, you can see that first picture in front of you. That's about an inch of ice in front of the yellow markings are poles. tells us exactly which pole it is, the location, the geographic location, and it helps our crews understand exactly where they need to go to fix the damage. The assessment crew couldn't even tell you what the number was on that pole. And then obviously the ice on the cross arms on that other photo. Significant. So we had ice Friday night, and then we had snow Saturday, and it just kept coming. You guys know. All that weight on our infrastructure, our poles and our wires, and then you add in all the trees in that area, it just all came down on top of our poles and our wires. So instead of having just one tree in our lines, think of it as an entire forest into our lines, and that's basically what we were dealing with and are still dealing with tonight. So tonight, I was hoping to be able to come and tell you that we're in the middle of wrap up and clean up and that the majority of our customers are restored. And the majority of them are in Whatcom County, but we still have quite a few trouble spots. So as an example, Canyon Lake Road, we have an abandoned vehicle in that road. We can't get by. It's tangled up in our lines. We've also got snow. We need plows out there to help us get access. We've got our tree crews out there ready to cut down the trees or to remove the trees that are in the way. But all that starts to pile up, and we just can't make access. So we still have 18 customers out on Canyon Lake Road. I don't know if they'll get restored tonight. We also have Mosquito Lake Road. Our crews have been out there and have put up wire 4 times. Strung it, re-energized it, everybody gets power, and then a tree comes back over on top of it. It's just an absolute mess. Same thing for Marshall Hill Road. Potter Road, I know that we had to have some special access or assistance from the county. Thank you very much for your plows to come out and help us gain access to Potter Road. And then Glacier, poor Glacier. Access issues in Glacier have been absolutely significant. Obviously, we've had everything I just described. They've gotten a whole lot more snow. But even this morning, we thought we had restored the majority of town. There's still a few that are without power. Downtown is opening up. Waken Bakery is opening up. And then they had a huge tree come through our pole
30
and
seconds,
a home.
please.
And now they're without, portion of town is still without power. So just wanted to paint that picture. As I said, we had 11,000 customers here in Whatcom County at the peak of our storm. We have about less than 200 right now. We're hoping to get them up tonight or tomorrow morning. We had 15 servicemen out patrolling. That's a 1 or 2 person crew that just kind of looks at the wires, where they can repair quickly, and then identify the damage. And then we had 23 crews. That's a 4-person crew that actually makes the repairs here in Whatcom County. And then we had 2 additional foreign crews that came down from Canada. I just wanted to give you the last little bit is our ETRs and our outages. Understand on our outage map, understand that all this trouble that we've been having, it's hard to identify ETRs and a number of customers that are out on our maps. As I mentioned, wire goes down, we energize, and it gets put down again. It's just really difficult to be able to manage how many customers are out all the time and be able to say for certainty that we're going to have power back on at that location. So thank you, Council.
Well, thank you to your crews for their hard work. I know it's not easy work, and it's cold and it's dangerous, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. And we appreciate the collaboration with the county. The county has been very helpful in helping us gain access. I just wanted to provide you a better update than what you would get in my emails.
Thanks.
I was going to apply for a job as a linesman, but you've talked me out of it.
I don't blame you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Lynn.
Good evening, council members. I'm Eddie Uri with Resources for Sustainable Communities of Bellingham. I just want to take a moment to respond to your earlier 3 p.m. meeting and your discussion of the proposed updates to the comprehensive plan regarding Cherry Point, which I'm very pleased to see are now moving forward again after a really productive discussion amongst the Planning Commission, the county planning staff, and the legal advisors about these policies. Looks like we're getting there. But I just wanted to respond to a couple things that were said, because I was a little bit taken aback by some of the discussion I heard about limiting piers at Cherry Point. Because as I'm sure, no doubt you're aware, last May, the Army Corps of Engineers determined that additional piers would be in direct violation of Lummi Nation's treaty-protected rights to fish at usual and accustomed areas, as they've done since time immemorial. And this decision came after 16 months of deliberation and research and was unambiguous. And then DNR further affirmed this in our decision to reject the aquatic lands lease application, to extend the boundaries of the Cherry Point Aquatic Reserve, to remove the fourth pier cutout. And this was based in large part on information that was extensively analyzed and interpreted by the Corps over a long period of time. They crossed their T's, they dotted their I's. And even that aside, there's extensive evidence and decades of research showing that even the existing piers at Cherry Point do indeed cause significant adverse impacts to forage fish and other species, interfering with spawning cycle, habitat connectivity, light responses. There's a wealth of research on this, and that's just leaving aside the cumulative impacts of vessel traffic and effluent discharge and even minor fuel links that are contributing to the decline of the Cherry Point herring, which we've seen drop by over 97% since monitoring started in the 1970s. So just all that aside, I was kind of alarmed to hear some of the discussion about what this fourth pier means, just given that regardless of what personal views on whether or not a fourth pier is desirable for any purpose, it's not germane to the responsibilities of the council. The only elected entity that holds the right to answer that question of should there be a fourth pier is the Lummi Indian Business Council. And so we're subject to follow policies that are over our head. Doesn't matter what I say or whether we think a fourth pier would be a good idea or not. So that aside, we're pending these updates to the comp plan and the shoreline master plan that are in due order to comply with these new changes we're seeing coming from DNR and the Corps. And this presents a problem because if a company were to apply for a shoreline permit and your policies aren't up to date, you could get stuck with either a dead-end permit process or leave the county open to a frivolous lawsuit from a company that has resources to burn when you reject their application, but you can't point to your updated plan to say that there was a direct reason for not processing it to begin with. And we're seeing projects like this forthcoming. We're expecting them. For instance, there's Williams is proposing to build the Island Gas Connector through the Cherry Point Aquatic Reserve, even though that's a prohibited use according to DNR. So what I'm saying is that it's really imperative right now that the county equips itself with the legal tools to defend itself in the case of when you reject a permit in accordance with laws that are over your head even, or otherwise you're leaving the taxpayers on the hook and all of us subject to this. So again, this is just a reason until all this stuff gets worked out to extend the moratorium on processing permit applications for developments that would be for export of fossil fuels that aren't being refined at Cherry Point. So yeah, look forward to more discussion on this, and I'll send you more resources, information, and also I'd encourage you to look to the Cherry Point Aquatic Reserve Stewardship Committee. They have a lot of information about this if you're curious. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to us during the open session? Seeing no one, we'll close the open session. And we'll move to finance.
Mr. Chair, the Whatcom County Finance and Administrative Services Committee met today. We considered 4 items. The first was a resolution accepting the Treasurer's list of petitions for tax refunds. This received a vote of unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have a motion in front of us. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item was, next item was a resolution amending Resolution 2016-051 in the matter of adopting a salary schedule and policies for Whatcom County unrepresented employees effective January 1 through December 31, 2017. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item is request authorization for the county executive to enter into a contract between Whatcom County Flood Control District and Edge Analytical, Inc. to provide laboratory analysis of surface water samples for bacterial analysis in the amount of $85,600. In this case, the council is acting as the Whatcom County Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, discussion on this motion?
Laboratory.
It all depends on where you're from.
Oh, I'm being corrected.
Couldn't resist.
I think it's nice to have a professor to remind me of it.
No,
There you go.
just being a jerk.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Now you've thrown me off my game. 4, request authorization for the county executive to enter into a contract amendment between Whatcom County and Kimberly Garrity, attorney, for professional labour negotiator services in the amount of $377 for a total amended amount of $86,376. This received unanimous approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have that motion in front of us. Any discussion? Can't see Ken over there, but all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, there was nothing else from Finance.
Okay, next committee up is Public Works, Health and Safety.
Resolution amending CRP number 916008 and authorizing Public Works to, 1, proceed with petitioning the Whatcom State Utilities and Transportation Commission for improvements to the Yacht Club Road at grade railroad crossing, and 2, construct improvements using Public Works Department's county forces. And that came into the committee and was passed through with the recommendation 3-0, and I so move.
Okay, any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next committee is Planning and Development.
Yeah, we had a request from the administration for the appointment of one county council member to the Transfer of Development Rights and Purchase of Development Rights Multi-Stakeholder Work Group. And the Planning and Development Committee would like to bring forward and recommend appointment of Councilmember Brown for that position. And I so move.
Okay, it's been moved to appoint Mr. Brown to the
To
Transfer and
recommend,
Development Rights and Purchase Development Rights Stakeholder Group.
to recommend it to this, to the, isn't it the executive who makes the decision?
This is a
No, they
flat
want
out
us to
appointment.
appoint one of us to the committee.
Yeah, we do
Right,
that.
but we still send it to the executive, right? And it's up to him or not? I thought it was recommendation. I don't know. Okay.
Whichever.
I would like to thank Mr. Brown.
I'd like to thank Mr. Brown.
I like to thank Mr. Brown.
Me too.
All those in fa-
It was a viciously contested.
do we need a second for
I'll
this one,
second
I
it.
think. No, that was from committee. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. The next had no committee assignment. It was an ordinance providing local procedures to process development permit applications efficiently and to promote finality of decisions. And I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I had one, actually, it was Mr. Schroeder was going to give us a comment on this. If I may.
Yeah, Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive. 2 weeks ago in committee, there was some discussion in regards to the term early notice for environmental review. And in Whatcom County Code 1608-175, there's a definition for early notice specific to it. And so that should provide the clarity that the council was interested in.
Ms. Brenner, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. Just let me get to the right page. 402. Sorry about that. Should have been right up on it. There's something in, I have a problem with us doing anything that doesn't allow any applicant, any person to use the full abilities that they've been allowed, as long as I've been on the council, to take the permit application, appeal, whatever, as far as they want. And on top of that, we got these emails. I think there's some confusion out there. We got emails saying that, this is costing the taxpayers. It's my understanding, and Tyler, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that money, there's money set aside for everything related to that, no matter what it is, 1 minute of someone's time, 1 hour, anything that has to do with the county. So it's not costing the taxpayers anything. And I just, I like to let everybody have as many opportunities as they want. It's great to say, the big bad this or that, we want to stop them. But this would apply to all kinds of things, and I'm not going to support it.
Okay, other discussion? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I just want to point out that my only objection to this was the expression an early notice of the likelihood, and I wanted to make sure that we understood who was determining the likelihood, that it wasn't some arbitrary decision. So therefore, I'd like to suggest for clarity that at the end of the words, the words currently read, or an early notice of the likelihood of determination.
What page and what line, please?
Page 405, it's in bullet point A.
It's in what? I'm sorry.
bullet point A.
Point 1A, okay.
So the
Oh, yeah.
third line on that ends determination of significance, and I would just like to add the words as defined in WAC 197.11.350. Or actually, as defined in, just maybe as defined in WAC 197-11 is probably better.
I don't have that whack in front of me.
That's the
on my
WAC
computer.
that governs SEPA. So the title of the WAC is SEPA rules. State Environmental Protection Act rules, right? Mr. Schroeder.
Yeah, Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive again. We could refer to the WAC. It also, as I was doing some research, is in the Whatcom County Code. So in Whatcom County Code 1608-175, there provides definition, and there's a specific definition to early notice. And that says, early notice means the county's response to an applicant stating whether it considers issuance of a determination of significance likely for the applicant's proposal. And so I would make a recommendation, if council wants to provide that clarity, to refer to as defined by Whatcom County Code, and that code section is 1608-175.
1608-175. And for clarity, I'm less concerned about the term early notice and more concerned about the term likelihood. Because likelihood is it may happen as opposed to it has happened or it will happen. So does that still, I'm looking at our council now, does that still seem an appropriate reference?
Yeah, if I could, so I'll slow down a second on the definition of early notice. In the definition of early notice, it says, considers issuance of a determination of significant likely. So that's the definition of likelihood.
Okay.
Early notice of the likelihood of a determination of significance. So those two terms are the same as it's reading both here and in that Whatcom County Code reference.
And that last thing you said was in the code or on the WAC?
The
Code.
code,
Okay.
1608-175.
Okay. So then I'd like to change as defined in Whatcom County Code 1608-175.
Okay? Okay, we have a motion and a second on that amendment. You guys have that amendment? Okay, discussion?
Hang on just a second.
Yes.
Well, I just would like to point out that the timing of this is great because there's a certain permit that everybody's real tired of dealing with. I get that. But were you laughing down there, Ken?
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and I mean, but the problem is, this can have very far-reaching effects on all kinds of applicants. And I'm just, I think we need to, we should always, if we're gonna err at all, we should err in the.
You're not speaking to the amendment.
What?
You're not speaking to the amendment, you're speaking to the main motion.
Well, okay. Oh, so we're just.
We're just voting on that language that Mr. Brown just referenced.
Oh,
Whatcom
okay,
County
I'm sorry.
Code. That's okay.
All right,
We'll take what you said into account.
okay.
Okay, so any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in
Would
favor?
somebody repeat the amendment
Yeah.
again?
At the end of the third line on bullet point A would add the words, as defined in Whatcom County Code 16.08.175. Or 16-08-175.
So that leads us to a reference to WAC 173-806-040. So we're just looking for a definition of early notice here, or
Likelihood.
likelihood of? I'm just trying to keep up with the
So Tyler Schroeder, again,
wax in there.
Deputy Executive, if you look up 1608-185,
Yeah.
there are some WAC references. If you keep going past those WAC references
Okay.
in that.
There we go. Okay. I just want to know what I was voting on.
So is it 185 or 175?
Early notice is
one-
defined in point A, but where is likelihood of?
That's in
That's, so
one.
we got a definition of early notice. Is that what Councilmember Brown is looking for?
No,
Definition of likelihood.
It references
It's that word
likelihood in the
likelihood.
early notice
In-
definition.
Yeah,
And for clarity, did you say 175 or 185?
no, 175 is the first one.
Okay, I found it. I know what I'm voting on. I'm happy with this now. Sorry.
Doesn't like getting hung up on the hard stuff.
Well, you start mentioning all these, we went from wax to county code,
Okay.
back to wax.
Yeah.
So, I support the amendment.
Okay, where are we at now?
Well, we have a motion and a second, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're up for the vote. You've had your
And
discussion.
you're gonna leave the county code?
It's gonna be,
Well, I'm asking for the inclusion of those words as defined in Whatcom County Code,
Right.
16-08-175.
Okay, so any other discussion? Okay, on the amendment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now back to the main motion. Any further discussion? Ms. Brenner?
Just, did everybody remember what I just said? I
Yeah.
don't have to repeat myself then. It's, this is not just about one company and one permit. This will have effects on all kinds of companies and all kinds of individual people and permits.
Okay. Mr. Donovan?
I was gonna speak in favor of the motion, or the proposal. It seems like this is avoiding going down some dead ends in terms of permitting routes, and my read of it is there aren't gonna be that many, but, we could maybe ask staff for.
Mr. Sadoo?
I was going to ask Deputy Executive that, how you feel about this thing that, you come into some of these situations before, and how does it help the staff?
Yeah, so Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive. Again, as I kind of articulated at committee meeting 2 weeks ago, speaking specifically to current applications is probably not appropriate. However, in the past, there have been some applications when I was planning manager at PDS in which there was some slow movement with applications that had a determination of significance. And I could see why other counties, I think it was Snohomish and another county, that had language similar to this in the code.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Brenner?
So does that mean all the other counties don't?
I'm sorry, I just don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Barbara Brenner,
No.
Red Brown,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Todd Donovan,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu,
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes.
That passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed. Next is council appointment to boards, commissions, and committees. We have one appointment to fill a jail stakeholder work group vacancy for the position of Whatcom County resident who resides outside the city of Bellingham. We have Irene Morgan is one of the applicants, and then on your green copy, you have 3 more. You have L. Ward Nelson, Matthew Babick, and Troy Lautenbach. So, Mr. Brown?
Isn't Ms. Morgan already on one of the jail groups?
She's on the task force. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
on the incarceration task
Yeah,
force,
I'm just,
which I thought that was weird too.
yeah, just a little unusual for someone to be appointed to 2 boards that are
Yeah, they're
pretty much
related.
identical. Yeah.
I agree.
Not that I don't want to criticize her for doing it, but it's just a little unusual.
Yes.
Well, I know I'm voting for it, but I do want to say, we got some incredible applicants here. I mean, sometimes we can't even get people to apply, and this was overload of good applicants.
Okay, do we have, anybody want to make a nomination?
Sure.
I'll nominate all 3.
Okay, do we have a second? We do?
There's
4.
4, sorry.
All 4. Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second to nominate all 4. So could you call whatever we call this?
Barbara Brenner,
L. Ward Nelson.
Red Brown,
Ward Nelson.
Barry Buchanan,
Ward Nelson.
Todd Donovan,
Matthew Babick.
Ken Mann,
Matthew Babick.
Satpal Sidhu,
Matthew Babick.
Carl Weimer,
Matthew Babick.
That's Matthew Babick has got 4 votes.
Auditor.
So he is appointed.
I thought we were going to discuss it or something.
Well, we couldn't lose on any of them, that's for sure.
Now we go to the executive appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. We have 6 committees. If you go to page 412 of your packet, it lists them. The first committee is Agriculture Advisory Committee. This is for council information only. The Washington Conservation District has designated as its representative Mr. Larry Davis. Next is the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Compliance Committee. Nominated for appointment are Susan McClendon and Joshua McIntyre. We can do this by acclamation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you state them all with their names?
Okay, we can do all these by acclamation. County Council Appeals Board, Dennis Smith is the applicant. Development Standards Technical Advisory Committee, Andrew Ross is the applicant. Rural Library Board, Erica Neuenberg is the applicant. And Veterans Advisory Board, for the second term, Ward Nelson is the applicant. Do we have a motion to
Move to
appoint these?
nominate or appoint.
Appoint by, all of them by acclamation.
Actually, this is confirm.
Confirm, that's right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Thank you to all the applicants.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, yes.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is introduction items. Do we have a motion to introduce?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to introduce these items. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Committee reports. Public Works, did you have other items in your committee today?
I think we did, but they went fairly rapidly. Okay. Well, the second item, which was presentation and discussion regarding traffic patterns and posted speed limits in the Marine Drive, Marietta area, that is postponed because nobody showed up to give us a presentation or discussion.
Because we went too long.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
I was wondering.
And then the discussion of proposed ordinance amending Whatcom County Code 24.05 on-site sewage system regulations. We had I thought, a pretty good discussion, and the council members who were in attendance made some, or asked some really good questions, which the health department's going to bring us back the answers or email them to us. So we are holding this again, and I just got my proposed motion in to Forest today, so I think I'm the first one. And that was my only one that I really wanted, so.
Okay, thank you. Planning?
Yeah, we had one other item in planning today, and it was a discussion of proposed comprehensive plan amendments to the Cherry Point urban growth area, and we started that discussion. The council will probably meet as a committee of the whole in about a month to come out with what our recommendations for that are, and then we'll have a hearing either that night or 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that night, to hear what the public has to think.
Ms. Brenner?
Yeah, and for both, like for the septic system one, anybody who's got proposals, get them into Forest by Friday. And the one for our planning department, we've got 2 weeks to get them in, or is that it?
He was gonna let us know, I think, probably
Okay,
2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. That should be it for committees. Any other items of business? Seeing none, how about council member updates?
As we discussed this morning, I was down in Olympia along with Mr. Schroeder, Executive Laos, and others continuing to work on the water issue. And I think there's a lot of different bills floating out there at the moment being reviewed by the House and the Senate. And let's say I'm I'm cautiously optimistic that something will come out of the legislature this session regarding the water issue. But that being said, there's a lot of different people down there who have their own opinions, so we'll see what happens. But the county continues to work hard at every level, and frankly, so do our state legislatures.
I was going to just give an update about the jail task force that Councilmember Buchanan and I have been going to. We're hoping to get some finality with the city in terms of what the finance arrangement is going to be, but we are not talking about the size or the location of the facility, and that's something that our council is going to have to be determining. Meeting the other day, yesterday, with Councilmember Sadoo and people from the city on the Lake Whatcom group, and we are, I think, talking about bringing a proposal to change the fee for the invasive species program. That would have to be coordinated with the city and the county. And it's been great. The schools have been closed for a couple days.
No, that's not.
My kid's 16.
Right. I keep raising my hand and everybody else just talks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to, you're talking about size and location haven't been determined yet, and I'm not putting a pitch in for anywhere in particular, but I do want us to really strongly consider a location that has a lot of land. And I think I've brought this up before. I've been watching these two different shows. One of them is Pitbulls and Parolees, and the other is The Guardian. And they're all about people caring for abused and neglected animals, and especially how amazing it is to people who are incarcerated to have that kind of a gift of being able to work with animals. It really does restore people's own personal feelings about themselves and about others. And I just can't imagine we talk about, prevention, but there will be some people in there, and if we want to prevent them from coming back, I just can't think of a better proposal than to put them in charge with the people where they can work and help restore animals who really need restoration. And they're so appreciative, both the people in the jails are, and the animals certainly are. So that's my push for adequate land.
Northwest and Smith.
Pit bulls and parolees.
Mr. Sadoo, you have anything?
No,
Okay.
Well, maybe I would work there and help out.
Well, everybody have a safe trip home, and we are adjourned. Especially Carlin.
Especially